I didn't think I was going to do another video, but this really triggered me. I'm for 14 days, I think we're on the 8th day, I'm doing a survey of my emotions. So I have to answer the questions every day before I go to bed. And so now I'm like, okay, because it feels like I don't remember how I feel like during the day, you know what I mean? Just in general, I feel blah. But today, and I think yesterday, I kind of tracked it, what sets me off. And so I can better answer the questions for the next 6 days. And there were a few things that set me off today, which I wrote down. But the worst thing was just after finishing teaching, and I went to the market, well, to the grocery store, and it's a higher end grocery store where I work. It's like, there's a lot of, I guess, maybe social justice warriors, all that crap. Very kind of white privilege type thing. Sprinkled around with some ethnicity to it. Some people who are not just like the white norm. So anyways, so I go to this there and I have bottles that I refund because I want to save up, to invest, whatever. Every little bit counts, So I go in and it's noon and the machine to put the cola bottles is occupied by this guy who had a bag of, must have been at least 100 to 200 Coke cans. So I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna work. And then I go up to the cash and I see there's two elderly ladies with a lot of beer cans and stuff like that, and another guy behind them waiting and being frustrated. So I'm like, okay. I started to wait in front of the machine, and then I'm like, he's not going fast. I might as well just do my groceries. And then I only have like 7 bottles, which is 35 cents. I'll put it up with my groceries because it's the same person who's doing both. Because you have the checkout counter with 12 items or less, and I had less than 12 items. But she also takes care of the bottles, so she kind of like splits it. She's at the cash, and then she'll go meet the person with the bottles. And not a very good concept, but that's the concept that not only that store, but I think others, all of them maybe. Whereas if I waited at the machine, I'd put them in, then I'd get a ticket, and I'd bring it to get refunded. So anyway, so I did my groceries, and then I went up to the cash, and then I just put the bottles there. In my head, of course, I'm afraid of like, okay, I'm not being conventional. It's going to cause a problem. And of course, it did cause a problem. But it's like, I'm not going to wait like 30 minutes for, it's 35 cents. Just fucking do it, This particular branch, like IGA, International Grocers Association, when I first moved in this area, I live near one. I don't go to it often. I go to the one near work because it's the only thing there. On the other side of where I work, there's a Sabor Latino, so it's a Latino place. I'd rather go there. I never brought my bottles there, though. They're nicer. But there's certain things that I have to get at the IGA, and my bottles included. So I'm in the checkout line with my items, and then my bottles stacked up. So the lady working there, obviously it's an older lady, she's been around, and like she doesn't want to work out. She's nice, but she's there because she needs to pay the bills and all that. She's not like a privileged white girl. She's a little hard around the edges, but nice. So anyway, so I bring it up and I told her I didn't want to get be in conflict, so I kind of lightened the load a bit. I said I brought both together because it would save time, whatever. Instead of her having to go to the bottle section and then come back, and then it's obvious she doesn't like to do that. Who would? So anyway, so then the manager was around helping, I guess, and the manager was this little I guess, kid, someone who thought he was more important than he is because he's in a management position. But like, after the attitude he pulled, I'm like, listen, Bottom, you be better off as a flight attendant with that attitude. You know what I mean? It's like, uh, so I didn't say that. I thought about that afterwards. I'll tell you what went on in my head afterwards. But I handled it pretty good, pretty well. She went to see him because obviously she's doing what she's told. Obviously, he put a rule off and she has to run everything by him. I'm sure she loves that. Not really, but so she says you have to put the bottles in the machine. And I know it wasn't coming from her. And then the manager was there and says, I have to put the things in the machine. He goes, yeah. And I said, well, when I came in, both machines were being used for a while. I went to do my groceries and I came back. If you want me to go there and put it in the machine, then come back with the ticket, it's wasting time. And I said that with my voice stern, you know. And I avoided saying, listen, you Bottom, fucking get your get your ass banged on the, you know. I wanted to say a lot of like the gay jokes and all that. Like, you're obviously at Bottom with that attitude. You're in the wrong profession. You know, it's about me. It's not about you because I'm the one paying for your fucking salary. If you got a fucking little raise of $1, don't project. You know, he obviously was thinking about it afterwards. He was probably pissed that he had to deal with all these slimy bottles and all that. I rinsed mine. But I kind of left it at that, and he acquiesced, and he went and put it in the machine himself. It's like, yeah, it's 35 cents. I'm sorry, but like, you're a manager, but you're not. I was going to say you're not Johnny Depp. Even Johnny Depp is a dirty, slimy person. So like, you're no one, pretty much. So don't put that attitude on me. But I didn't do that. But I wanted to, because when I'm hungry and tired to boot, it's harder to control, you know, the outbursts. And it doesn't have to be anyone with borderline tendencies. It's just like anyone, you know. It was just a bad move on his part, you know. And I set my boundaries and my role. It's like, that doesn't even make any sense what you're saying to me just because you don't want to touch bottles. It's like, what are you getting paid $13 an hour for? But anyways, so, but afterwards it was like all the scenarios in my head of what I wanted to say and the anger. Then I noticed that everything else was angering me, you know, which always happens because you get all fuzzy and all that. And this guy came in with his kid in the metro, and I have my crutches in my hand. Not that I'm copping sympathy, you know, I stand up, but he actually dragged his kid past me and put him on his seat. Like, he had to put his kid on his seat before all the people came out of the metro before. And like, I'm like thinking, really, you're teaching your kid to be a princess? What, you know? But I didn't say anything, and also because I'm not in the right mindset. I wouldn't think that if I wasn't hungry and tired and already had a situation that happened. I don't care about him and his kid. Do what you want with your kid. But technically, that kind of sucked as a move. Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to teach your kid? They used to push in front of people to go sit down, and it's like, and you put them in the seat where it's clearly indicated elderly, disabled. It doesn't say anything about kids there. So I think you were just trying to be nice. Maybe you just get your kid once every 2 weeks or something like that. But what are you teaching? It was a boy too. What are you teaching him? You teaching him to be a fucking beta. Not that I'm into the alpha, beta, and all that crap, but it's like, that didn't make any sense what you were doing, you know. But when I'm not hungry, I don't care either or. In the past, I would have put my arm and blocked him from coming in and clotheslined him. I did that before. In Toronto, I was in Chinatown, and people were trying to like sneak under me, and I just put my arm and blocked them, and they all stopped. You know, it's very disrespectful. And the last time I was a little aggressive in that respect. Now I control it more, but you can see how it's still in my head. I need to eat. I bought my food, so I'm gonna eat soon. But one guy tried to do that in 2016 in the metro. And actually, I didn't care about myself, but he was cutting in front of someone else. And I just pulled him by his hoodie and dragged him onto the floor. And he's like freaking out. He's like, I'm sick, whatever, whatever. Like, first of all, who the fuck cares? That is not an excuse to cut in front of anybody unless you communicate, because we can't we can't read minds, you know. And secondly, I don't know you, so if you have a stomach ache, you would not be cutting from everybody. You'd probably be sitting on the bench. You wouldn't try to be more aggressive. So that doesn't make, all these things don't make sense to me. You don't know what's going on in people's heads. So, but that was the last time I was very, like, physical, from what I can remember. And even now, when I get more vocal, like I did today, I don't go past and, you know, start screaming obscenities and trying to cause this. I don't do it anyways, but it would happen once every 6 months when I really couldn't hold myself. But now when I can't hold myself, or when I just express, it's firm, maybe a bit passive aggressive. Like I didn't have to say to the manager, it's wasting time. But I think it just made a little emphasis. I used to question myself. I've talked about it to my psychologist, and because it happened once to my client and once to another person at work who overstepped boundaries. So apparently that's the right way to do it. It's just I don't like it, the conflict, and I have to keep fighting that. And then I keep ruminating over it afterwards. I'm gonna eat. So I just wanted to document that.